Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another series review. And today's series review is none other than the cartoon Final Space. So, what is Final Space about? Well, for a start, it's about a space cadet named Garry who is dishonored and trapped on a space station. After being trapped so long on the space station, Garry convinces himself that he's the captain of the station rather than a prisoner. He spends endless days arguing with the supercomputer that navigates him through the asteroid belt, and then one day gets attacked by a bounty hunter cat. The bounty hunter turns out to have turned up on Garry's space station, all in order to essentially stop him from working with Moonpie. Moonpie is a slimy little creature that to Garry just looks like a cute, adorable thing. However, it turns out that Moonpie can destroy planets and worlds. Garry is also on a mission to go to his one true love, Quinn. However, every single time that Garry tries, the pair of them seem to be separated by something, and eventually Garry learns that it's because his entire life has built up to a giant paradox. Garry is a fixed event in time. There's nothing he can do to change it. He can save the universe at the cost of everything, but also at the cost of his own sanity. Quinn and Garry do get some really good times together. However, due to a lot of complications between him and the mission at hand, he also finds himself in a situation where his social confidence isn't as confident as he believed. Along the way, Garry meets some very funny characters such as Blob and Hugh. He also finds himself in the presence of a lot of dictators who want to rule the universe. But for Garry, luckily, he manages to stop them. However, in one instance, Garry's life comes very close to being at an end. When he believes there to be a self-destruct going on, and he also finds himself in a situation where the oxygen is draining from his life pod, Garry finds himself in a situation in which the supercomputer tells him that he will be dead in 5 minutes. He points out to the supercomputer he would rather have something positive play, so he asks how long the cookies will take. 5 minutes, Garry. The cookies will be done in 5 minutes. So, what was my thoughts on Final Space? As a series, it's very complicated and very funny. I definitely feel like it's got its ups and lows. Its ups for me is personally the idea that Garry is trying so hard to get home and also get back to Quinn. I love that Avocado and the Bounty Hunter and all the rest of them come along into Garry's life. However, I also feel like they kind of provide him a little bit of false hope. And when everything becomes so complicated by the end of the series, I can see why the series becomes a bit of a struggle towards the final. It's not only that Garry has been spending so long out in space that he's gotten used to this exploration, but Garry also finds himself in a precarious situation where he's now wondering what was the point. Maybe him being put on that space station truly was a punishment, or maybe he was intended to become the space hero of the galaxy, the only hero the galaxy would ever need. But when Garry finds himself face to face in one series with Quinn from the future, it's not that he doesn't still love her, but he finds himself in a situation where she's so dependable and so strong and independent that it starts to make Garry question whether he has any real reason to be with her. She quite clearly doesn't need his help, and she's managed to survive this long. Garry is in such turmoil in this series. I love that he is relatable to like a space voyager stuck in like Space Odyssey or something. However, I feel like this is also the kind of defining point which makes Garry's story so hard to watch at some points. Not because the series isn't enjoyable and the source material isn't enjoyable, but because you really feel for Garry, and you feel like the guy doesn't really get a break. And sadly, for that reason, I give Final Space a solid 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next series review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible night.